So let's talk Chat GPT. If you're a teacher and you follow me on Instagram, maybe you've seen it here on YouTube, this is something I've been low-key obsessed with for the last couple of weeks. It just came out in November 2022, and there's lots of YouTube people who do like deep dives, really explain the technology. That's great, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you how to use this to make your life easier in the classroom. If we haven't met, I'm Kaylee Collier. I own a business called Inspired to Enrich, where I work to help teachers and parents find ways to embrace creativity and technology with their kids. So ChatGPT is an amazing tool. AI technology is not new, but what is new is the idea that it can communicate. So for example, if I type in, write me a meal plan for the next week with healthy options, it'll do it. In fact, I did one last week and it is on my fridge right now, and it's what I've used to help plan out my meals for my family for the week. On top of that, I told it, hey, I like this plan. Now give me the grocery list to go with it. Done. My meal planning was done in less than 5 minutes. Printing out the grocery list, shopped online, picked it up, and I'm done. And as somebody who works full-time in a school, has a side business, has a toddler and a husband with a weird schedule, being able to save time grocery shopping and meal planning is game-changing for me. In the classroom, there are a lot of pros and cons to using this program. So if you're a teacher, you're probably immediately thinking, whoa, hold up. I don't need my students going onto a program and telling it what to write. I totally get you. So I put in, write an essay about the fall of the Roman Empire. I don't know anything about that. I know it told me something about Constantine and how long the empire was. Sounds great. So if I was a student submitting that work, I wouldn't have even known enough to check to make sure it was correct. That's one of the caveats to this program. It can be wrong. However, if I'm a teacher and I'm having students write an essay about the fall of the Roman Empire, I might have my students go into ChatGPT and tell it, make me an outline. Give me the bullet points of key facts that I need to know about the fall of the Roman Empire. When it generates that, then I can have students take that information and write an essay, sure, but I could have them make an interactive timeline, create a video, write a podcast episode, or create a blog post with interactive links and photos. The way that we use this program, that's what's going to decide if ChatGPT and other AI technology is beneficial or harmful to education. I know a lot of districts have pulled the plug. They've already blocked it. And from a privacy standpoint, I understand that because it is tracking what you're doing. That's what makes it so creepy cool. But from a protecting students from cheating perspective, I don't necessarily agree. And I know that's going to be a spiky opinion. I don't think ChatGPT should be blocked. I think that we need to teach students how to use this technology. With great knowledge comes great responsibility. We need to teach them how to use it ethically and how to use it correctly. Think about it this way. 20 to 30 years ago, when I was in elementary school, we went to the physical library to find research for things. When I was in 7th grade, I had to convince my dad to get a computer. I still remember the day that we left that Office Depot. We were walking out and I looked at him and I said, Dad, I'm going to need this for school. I'm going to need a computer. I'm going to need the internet. I can't do my school assignments without it. And he looked at me and he said, why? I don't like this because I think it's opening the door to something that we don't need to let in. I see both perspectives. But even as a 7th grader, I realized that things were changing. Teachers started to assign things for us to write and research based on the internet. Chat rooms became popular. I still remember putting in my ASL to complete strangers, which is horrifying to me now as a parent. We had blogs, open bloggers, where we would go on and just write to nobody about our day because nobody taught us how to use social media. Nobody taught us how to be online, how to create an online presence. As a teacher, I talked to them about these technologies, why you shouldn't post everything online, and how everything you do is tracked and documented, even if it's set to private. All right, my camera died, so now we're going to use the phone. If we don't teach students how to use this technology, we're going to send them out into a world in 15, 20 years where this is very prominent, but they don't have any real world application of it yet. So one of the things that I think we should be doing is utilizing ChatGPT in the classroom. And there's tons of ways that we can do this. As teachers, we can write lesson plans, we can come up with labs, we can generate a list of books at the drop of a hat. And I love these options because lesson plans and lesson planning can take a lot of time. But with ChatGPT, it breaks everything down for you. The lesson, the goodness in the teaching is up to the teacher. We could all take the same lesson plan and everybody's going to teach it differently. So I don't think that's going to affect actual teaching. If you're a great teacher, you're going to be a great teacher. I think generating a book list quickly is super helpful. Our media specialist was out a few days ago, and if I needed 5 books on fossils very quickly, she wasn't there to help. So I could go to ChatGPT and I could ask it for a list of books on fossils. It generates the list, and then I can go through it and decide if they're ones that would suit my students or not. The big perk there is that it doesn't have advertising. So I'm not having to dig through Google and get around all of the ads and pop-ups from other places to find the content that I'm really looking for. In math, you could generate a math problem based on whatever standard you're doing, maybe throw in a couple of student names to make it fun for them, and then use that math problem throughout the entire week. Break it down, dissect it, reword it, try different applications and operations, all from one problem that you didn't have to think of. I think it would also be very helpful for parents at home. How many times have teachers heard the complaint, I don't know the new math. I don't know the way they're teaching things nowadays. Well, ChatGPT is a great way to help you. Yes, you could go to YouTube, you could find a video, but sometimes sorting through a good video that has the right content and doesn't have ads built in and all this other stuff can be very frustrating. ChatGPT will just bring up quick directions on how to solve that problem or what that skill means, what that word means, and then you can move forward with helping kids with their homework or their study skills. I also think that we can utilize something like this to help students problem solve and analyze information. So I did a quick PL lesson with some teachers this past week. And in this lesson, we came up with a brief history of World War II. That's one of the subjects that I taught when I had face-to-face students. Love World War II content. So I told ChatGPT to write me a brief history of World War II. One of the teachers in our PL session had been new to this content area last year and thought that would have been so helpful because she could have read it, gotten a really good understanding, and then move forward instead of learning the content with her students. Then we took it a step further. So not only can this be used for teachers to build background knowledge and to help students, but then we told it, take what you wrote, take that brief history, but make it incorrect. And it changed very subtle things that students would need to know. Like it said World War II happened during the 1920s, or it was, in Canada instead of in Europe. Print out what ChatGPT says and have students go in and mark on it what is correct and what is not. Then they have to go in and research to find the correct answers. It's a really good exercise in deciphering information, figuring out truth from fiction. When I taught, I had EIP students. So these are students who do not qualify for special education services, but do need extra support. So for me, this would be students who were reading well below grade level or were struggling with writing and conveying information, comprehension. As an EIP teacher, I had a co-teacher that pushed in for small groups, but then left. So they weren't there for whole group instruction. Having a program like ChatGPT would have been very helpful in setting my students up for success. I could have sat down with them on Monday and said, we're going to work on an informational paper about penguins. I'm just making up an animal. And in this paper, I need you to give me 5 facts about penguins. Knowing the kids that I had, they would have looked at that and they would have shut down because, one, they weren't sure where to start. Do I Google penguins? Well, now that I've Googled it, which facts do I pick? How do I put it into the paper? How do I word it? You see the domino effect. Having a program that they could put in their question, what are 5 interesting facts about penguins? Then they have 5 paragraphs, and they can take those interesting facts, reword them into a question, and then do research on each of those to get more information. So they wouldn't be using it as a crutch, but I would be using it as a co-teacher to help my students when I can't be there one-on-one to help them. Tools like ChatGPT, in my opinion, are here to stay. It's not new, but it's definitely not going anywhere. It might not be free in the future. It might be pay to play or have some advertising built in, but I don't think it's going away. There's AI technology to generate images based on what you write. There's technology that Google uses to sort through blog posts and video to decide which one would fit a Google search the best. So I think that it's important that our students know how to use these technologies in real world applications. When it comes to these technologies, integrity is the name of the game. How you're using it will decide if it gets to stay and be useful in our classrooms or if people make it the scapegoat for why we're not excelling. We can bury our heads in the sand and we can ignore it, block it, pretend like it doesn't exist, or we can embrace it and use it and force ourselves as teachers to come up with new ways to engage our students and test their knowledge. We have to do more to make things relevant for our students. ChatGPT isn't going to create their perspective and their opinion for them. Only they can do that. They can use ChatGPT to lower their barrier to entry for understanding content or phrasing what they want to say. But ultimately, putting their voice and their perspective into their writing is what is going to make it theirs. Taking something that's been organized for them and creating something new is what we've been asking them to do all along. If you put into ChatGPT, write me a recipe for chili, it's probably going to be a very generic recipe. The difference is how you incorporate those ingredients. Which types of spices are you picking as the cook? What type of beans are you selecting and why? What cut of meat will you use? That is what's going to make the difference between ChatGPT being a crutch and a copy and paste situation for our students and it being a tool that really helps us as teachers push our students into that creation, collaboration, and communication mode that we want them in. How are you going to use this in your classroom? I would love to know your opinions in the comments below. Are you all for it and excited about it like I am, totally nerding out? Or are you still on the fence, feeling like maybe we should just throw all the computers away and go back to pencil and paper? And if you have other uses for this incredible piece of technology, let me know. Take care.